a video over a year ago called Why I Hated My Private Tutoring Business, and it did comparatively well compared to my other videos. So I thought it'd be interesting, especially at the end of 2021 now, to be able to go back and see what I'd said at that point in time, whether or not some of those things still ring true today, or if things have changed. And I can tell you that there are some things that have definitely changed. Plus, I can tell you that I love my business right now. So I'm sure that would be insightful for you guys to see how I actually came to where I am now, where that evolution and change occurred. And so if you enjoyed this video, then make sure you like it, make sure you subscribe if you haven't already, because on this channel, I offer a lot of tutoring advice for tutors and tutoring business owners, and I've shared behind the scenes of me growing my businesses as well. Here we go. I ended up hating it, and then how I was able to become a business owner by doing private tutoring, and then how I ended up hating that as well, which is a side I've never talked about before, and how I eventually was able to turn that around and create a career and a business that I truly love. I think this love-hate relationship with my business is a side that I think the interesting here is that at this point of time, when I say that I truly loved it, I think I was still learning and relearning to love my business again, whereas I can say now, 1 year later, at the end of 2021, I'm in even stronger of a happier place than I was at this point in time. There was still a lot of confusion in my head with how I wanted to direct my business, where I wanted to go, what I wanted to do with it. And so that confusion and that lack of clarity was actually really hard for me, especially as somebody who is super future orientated. I'm very goals orientated, and so I thrive when I know the roadmap, and when I don't, it causes a lot of internal suffering. And that is something that I've learned about myself over this past year, and I wouldn't have been able to articulate it to you at that current point in time. So this video is actually a follow-on from an original video I created for my Lisa Study Guides channel, where I didn't realize that that was a follow-on. This is a follow-on from this video, so that's cool. About the Maslow's hierarchy of career needs. This is not an official thing, but something that I've come up with to help me understand my feelings, my love-hate relationship with my career. And so I was now looking for that next need in this Maslow hierarchy of career needs. So that's when I started to build out a private tutoring company. I hired my first tutor, and it sort of just snowballed from there. I'm really enjoying doing this video of rewatching an older video from a year ago, because I've completely forgotten this Maslow's hierarchy of career needs that I had created for myself, that was a way for me to understand what was going through my head at those current points in times. And so rewatching this again is giving me that refresher and just reminding me of actually how far I've come, which is awesome. However, this rapid success in my business was sort of a double-edged sword. On one side, it was I drew these, it's so cute. I drew them on my iPad and turned them into a motion thing. Amazing. I was just following what customers wanted and creating a surface that would cater for this demand. But on the other side of the sword, I was running into all these problems that made me extremely unhappy, and innately I felt like I wasn't creating a business that echoed my own values and needs. At some point, you're going to find that you're going to reduce the quality of tutors that you have. You know, there's only a certain amount of a talent pool that you can pull from, and after that, if you are prioritizing the interest of growing your business first, you have to make that sacrifice of finding lower quality tutors, whatever that might mean to you. So that might mean tutors who don't have as great credentials, tutors who don't have as much experience, tutors who aren't in locations that you're looking for. So things like that. So when I started to run into that issue, I realized, hang on a minute, like I really value having high quality education, and I don't want to sacrifice that just to scale a business. I think this is a big one. Throughout 2021, I've really worked hard on understanding my personal values and how I breathe that into my businesses. And so I can see when I created this video that I was still in those early stages of what are actually my values. I know what I don't like, and that my battery died and I can't remember what I was saying. Oh yeah, so basically I knew what I didn't like, which is what I have found to be the main theme of my life. I've been able to find my pathway, not through my passion or what I enjoy, but more so, I would say, what I don't like. That seems to be a big motivator for me. So in pharmacy, didn't like the fact that I wasn't making as much money as I could otherwise. I didn't like the fact that I had a really restricted schedule and that I had to do 9 to 5, which I understand, 9 to 5 in itself is totally okay. It just wasn't necessarily the right thing for me. And so that helped me to understand what I did want. And so here when I'm talking about the fact that I knew that I didn't want to sacrifice high quality education for growth and more money, it made me think to myself, okay, well then what do I do now? How do I turn something that I don't like into a strength of mine, something that I would like instead? And so I've actually changed some things here in the sense that I am not hiring as many tutors and I'm not going for that, 1,000 tutors goal, for example, which I never had, but just to give you an example. But instead, we're focusing more on hiring high quality tutors who can have more output. So for example, we're doing more classes now, which means that we can have your top quality tutor helping many students as opposed to just one-on-one where those tutors will get capped after having 4 students. And so that's where that quality of the tutor experience starts to lower down, especially as your team grows and grows and you have to hire people who may not necessarily suit your criteria because that talent pool will reduce in size. But by compensating that by doing classes for us, doing more workshops, which are larger scale with our best tutors, that is the mentality of which I'm moving into 2022 with.
I've seen so many businesses start up, so many grow, and then so many fail at the same time. I felt that innately there was a reason not to want to scale and to keep things small and steady. And that's also because for me, I really enjoy working closely with people. I knew that the more people I onboarded, the less I'd be able to build that personal connection with them. This has therefore meant that my private tutoring has stayed at a premium price point.
So just about that part is still true. Definitely love making connections. And so in 2021, what we focused a lot on behind the scenes was building out those processes and systems to support our tutors and to support my core team as well. So even though on the surface, if you look at our business, it may seem like not too much has happened, so much has actually happened internally. And I'm so proud of how far we've come. And leading into next year for our first quarter, we'll still be focusing very much so on the internals, on our team, so that we can ensure that we have a happy team, one that is thriving, and one where we're all working synergistically towards that bigger goal of where we want the business to be.
To other companies in the space, we are definitely at a higher rate, but only at this higher rate are we able to then actually support all our tutors, offer the best customer service that we can, funnel a lot of that money into creating all the free resources that we have on our YouTube channel. Effectively means that 90% of the resources at Lisa Study Guides is free. So that's sort of something that I've also had to grapple with the fact that we're at a premium price point, because the other issue in that is that I'm perpetuating the cycle and the problem in that only those who can afford private tutoring are then getting it, whereas the people who can't afford it are left to their own devices.
So for me, this has been a big thing, and it is now that I'm feeling a lot more sure of myself. I felt very guilty for taking money from those who could afford it in the first place, and I felt very guilty for not being able to support those and make more affordable tutoring for those who are of a lower socioeconomic status. And I just felt guilty in being a part of the problem. And so even to this day, the guilt still sits there, but I think I'm more proactive about it. I used to just feel guilty about it, and it was more so subconscious in how it would affect my day-to-day actions. Whereas now it is very much at the forefront of my mind. I'm very clear that I do feel guilty and that I can admit that I feel guilty about these things very openly as well. and we've implemented and we will be implementing a lot next year in order to, would it be to say that it's like appeasing my guilt or like helping to, what's the word I'm looking for? Because I know appease is not the right word, but that's the only word that can come to mind right now. Basically to turn it into something that is a good thing, kind of going back to that idea of the things that I didn't like and turning that into a strength, something that I do like. And so here I'm turning the guilt from something that kind of keeps me feeling bad about myself and feeling bad about the situation and bad about the business that I've built. In 2021, as part of our values, one of them is that sense of community. And so we're going to be implementing a lot of new things in order to ensure that people, regardless of if they can afford our tutoring services or not, can still access our resources and they're accessible for these people. We're going to be doing a lot more free things for students, such as a study club that we have. So we did that earlier this year and that was super fun, where we just had like 50 students join onto a Zoom call and everyone just studied at the same time and they just felt connected, supported and accountable for their studies. And that was just really nice for me to be able to see firsthand that at LSG, we can create this sort of space and community for students from all walks of life.
In terms of however they want to study. So I sort of had to deal with all this conflict in my brain and sort of go, okay, what am I going to do? And it's only really in the past year or so that I've found that I've finally come to terms with everything and I'm understanding the bigger picture.
Girl, I can tell you that this year has been the year where I understand the big picture. I did not understand the bigger picture back then. And so a big part of that has been me finding a business advisor that has been instrumental in helping me shape the direction of my business, and also investing in a coach who has just been an absolute bore of information and critical advice that I needed to hear in order to grow my business in the way that I've grown it. And actually, it's a big reason why I also started my coaching business, Tutor Boss, because I just realized how important it is to have a coach to support you along your way, to have somebody bounce ideas off with, to have somebody help you cut through the crap and see where you're feeling insecure or the subconscious thoughts that you have about your business, such as the guilt that I was talking about. Like, I was able to uncover more of that with my coach, but also my coach has been able to help me implement the systems that I needed in my business in order to take it to that next level.
And so for me, in terms of Maslow's hierarchy of career needs, the next need that I needed to satisfy was impact. And you can see how everything actually relates back to impact. I knew that I wanted to maintain high quality tutors and that impact.
And I think a lot of what I've been doing in 2021 has been about this impact, and it will come into fruition more so in 2022. This year has been more about building the foundations for it.
Act on the world wasn't possible without that. I knew I wanted to support thousands, if not thousands and hundreds of thousands of students with the work that I do. But I knew that at some point when it comes to private tutoring, you're going to run out of tutors, whether or not they're high quality or low quality. I also knew that I wanted to create a big impact, but with a small team, because I think it's totally possible to have 3 or 4 core people impact hundreds and thousands of people, especially through prioritization. And that's what I've moved into over the past year or so.
We've also just hired Fern, who will eventually step into the marketing role full-time, and then Peggy will be head of teaching next year. So I'm building out my core team, the people who I work closest with, and that has just been so fulfilling, getting to know my team more, getting to work with them more closely, and just to build a business with a team of people who also believe in the same vision as you.
I'm now working on an app called Journey, where I take all the knowledge that I've learned from private tutoring, from my time studying English all the way back into high school, from my own tutoring experiences over the past 10 years, and I've culminated this into a resource in this app where it would be at an affordable price and students would be able to access high quality education, because the resources created on there are only by the best of the best, but also we're creating a customized learning pathway for students. So what this means is that students can access text guides, they can access videos, audio files, quizzes, in whatever learning style they prefer and that they study best with, they can use that. And we're already making such a huge impact with my work.
And so with Journey, actually, the interesting thing is that we've actually taken a little bit of a step back from this. I mean, the study guides are still there and people are using them and they're still doing great, but that customized part with adding quizzes and such has been something that has been left on the back burner, just because I've been focusing on essentially fixing my business, fixing the internals, working on my team, developing my team, and getting us to a place where we're focused on, again, the foundations, our values, making sure that we're living our values, making sure that our tutoring experience is super high quality and that the customer service is great. Rather than overloading us with a lot of work, we've been focusing more on the things that are already existing in the business and basically elevating them. In the future, I may say that we'll go back to Journey again and start building it out, but it's not currently at the forefront of what we're doing.
That I know that I'm now on the right track and my vision has never ever been clearer. And I can tell you that
my vision today has never ever been clearer. I would say I look back now and I go, girl, your vision was very confused back then.
when I did pharmacy, it didn't align with my needs of wanting like a secure, stable income that was more than what a pharmacist earned. Then when I went into private tutoring, I had the lifestyle and I was really happy with that, but then I wanted more. And so I was looking for that next thing, and that's impact. This is very conspiracy-like, by the way. If you like what I had to share on this video,
yay! So I guess this is a summary of this video. It actually makes me really happy to watch this video. I feel like I should do this every year to see my personal growth and progress. And I can see that even from then, when I felt like I knew what I was doing and I had more clarity, that the clarity that I have today is just so much more confident in itself. And so I can't actually wait until next year, having seen what I'll do in 2022, to reflect back on this video and see how much I've grown then. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this video and you found it insightful to see me looking at my own progress, and hopefully it might inspire you to potentially, you know, record a video down for yourself, or maybe write down a journal for yourself that you could reflect back on each year to see how you've grown as a person. And so if you enjoyed this video, then please like it, leave a comment for me on what you thought was most insightful about this video, or if you have any questions about it. And I cannot wait to see you guys in 2022. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey. I really appreciate you, and I really appreciate the community that's here. Happy New Year, and see you then. Bye!